cholesterol.
Yeah, with my cholesterol. But I was really worried because I do think there are movies sometimes. You remember this, Adam. I don't know if you remember this, Megan, but in the 90s after Pulp Fiction came out,
Yep.
there was just a plethora of Pulp Fiction knockoffs where it was people saying dialogue that they thought they were looking amazing while saying this dialogue, and they were just acting like they were cooler than life. But that wasn't the charm of Pulp Fiction. It was the script, it was the action, it was performances. But people were trying to mimic it, and it felt like people were mimicking it. So I was a little worried, but Bateman really sells it, and I like him as a villain. I like that he gets his hands done. I really like his scene with William Forsythe's Wingman, where he's just like, "That's how you do it, guys. Like that's how you get it done." Hey, I can milk. Whoa,
that was a good one.
I'll never get that back.
Yeah.
Oh.
I for a second thought that he was there with you.
That will never happen again.
You pull off a really good Scotsman or Welshman doing a nasal gangster accent.
And the nasal gangster accent didn't get to me on this one. I liked it.
No.
It seemed like a good. It's like, I just lost it. Dang it! I should have kept going. I should have used that accent the whole episode, and I could have done it, but I stopped and I lost it.
So I want to say though, I've always submitted to the fact that if you get in a fight with somebody, and I think we've talked about this before in a couple episodes, Mark, it's not necessarily who's the better fighter, and it's not necessarily who's the strongest. It's whatever guy cares about the other person the least. Right? Like if you and I got ourselves into like a Captain Kirk and Spock situation where we were on a planet and we're like, you guys fight each other, it's not going to be a very entertaining fight because I'm like, I don't want to hurt Mark, and I would trust that you wouldn't want to hurt me, but we got to fight for these people. So like, we're going to be pulling the punches a little bit. And I think that's one thing that even though he's a tired old man, Liam Neeson's character has no care for anybody. Like he sees them as not human almost when he's destroying them all, and that goes into even when he's getting rid of the bodies. So I think that's what makes up for his like lack of training. Is just his like, oh, like you're no longer human to me. You're just garbage.
Yeah, the only one he ends up caring for is Trevor's son, which is such a touching moment after this movie of death and just comedy about death. And this little boy just wants attention, and he wants to be read to, even if it's from a snowplow book, and snuggle with someone who's not insane.
Yeah.
The snowplow reading thing was my favorite beat of the movie.
It's so touching.
Right?
The editing is excellent too because they're sitting and then they're laying down. It's a really masterful, quick edit that it shows time is. That's why I love good editing in a movie. It's okay, time has gone by. I immediately know what's going on.
And the kid immediately snuggles in his armpit, and then he just relents and takes off his glasses.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
Yeah. Now, how long do you think Laura Dern was on this movie set?
5 minutes.
Yes.
She was so fast on this movie. It is just like the scene where he discovers she's gone. She moves so quickly, the hangers are still moving in her wake.
In and out.
Yeah, I was like, oh, sweet, Laura Dern's in this movie. I love Laura Dern. She's going to be... And then she was gone.
I like that. She probably just wanted to hang out with Liam Neeson.
Well, I think if she wanted to hang out with Liam Neeson, she would have been there for more than a day.
No, but I don't think she wanted to play the wife in it.
It was really cold there.
Yeah,
you know?
So I think she just showed up to go skiing. And, I mean, some people take movies in locations to go skiing, surfing. Like, hey, this is a free payday. I'm going to go take this film. So I think she showed up, skied, and, I mean, listen, she wanted
a weekend in the Canadian Rockies, subbing for the American Rockies.
Her presence in this
As
movie
one does.
leads to the best line in the movie. So there is a scene where Mustang, played by Dominic Lombardozzi, who was in The Wire, one of my favorite shows. You've heard about it, me talk about it for years, and I butchered his name. But he walks up to Trevor, or Viking, and he shows Viking a picture. And Viking goes, great, now we know that he bangs a hippie. Like, he's like, no, that's where he works. I just love that line.
That's fantastic.
Viking said that. It just made me so happy.
Which in itself is such a good and deep setup. There's so many callbacks throughout this movie, and that's a great one because Mustang's his boyfriend or husband, I don't know if their relationship was secret or not, but he was killed in an earlier scene, and now he has betrayed him by finding the workplace and setting him up to go be killed by the rival gang. And it's such deep, good, long play.
Yeah, and you could miss it too. It's not, hey guys, look it, I'm a big time trader doing this. I like that situation. I like that that's subtle. I like his character. And another one of my favorite parts in this movie is with Mustang, where he's eating Fruity Pebbles with the kid, and he's like, hey, I need some help with my fantasy football team. And the kid's like, you have 4 Cleveland Brown players. He's like, you got to support the home team. He's like, I can't help you. Like, that was such a funny. It's such.
I want to watch a spin-off where that kid gets kidnapped by like
each week.
No, not each week. I'd watch that show though, but like by some mid-level thugs in an Irish pub in Jersey just for his football knowledge. So they're betting on like the Flyers games and stuff, and they're like, "Come on, kid! Like, who you got this week?" And he's like, "Here's the rundown," and he's got like a savant level knack for gambling, and then Liam Neeson needs to go to Jersey and rescue the kid.
Whoa!
Isn't there a scene later where his team is winning because he did swap out some of his players, and the kid goes, "What about loyalty?"
Yeah, he learned from him. So you know what happened? I played fantasy football in a league for years.
Really?
You know about all this. and I drafted.
Sounds like Megan's a big fan of
fantasy playing. How much fantasy football goes on?
I drafted Green Bay Packers players excessively because that's my team, and I lost every year because I just was so loyal to the Packers. But then my first year where I went, I'm gonna try to win this year, and I drafted no Green Bay Packers players. I mean, maybe like a first round pick. I won the league because I just stopped taking 14 Green Bay Packers players for my draft.
See, and like again, we've known each other for a while, Mark. If I was like, if you're like, hey, come play fantasy football with me and my buddies, I'm like, well, I'm gonna worry about Mark because he's gonna pick a funny team just to be funny, and he's not gonna win.
Oh no.
Because that's. But it sounds like you go for blood now in the fantasy football.
This is very different. It's a different world. Mark has a trophy sitting here from fantasy football. Do you know what his team's name is?
What's his team?
It is Kurt Russell's beard.
Kurt Russell's beard. I don't know if I like fantasy football, Mark.
No, I'm pretty. So you know what's interesting?
He's not mean, but he definitely picks squads. He sets them up to win.
Yeah, I don't. Right. I just stopped making sexy picks. And I just kind of said, well, you know what? I'll try doing this. And last year I went to 3 finals in my 3 leagues. So it's pretty good.
Okay. Mark, I got a question for you. Yeah. And Megan. Mark and Megan. Sometimes, like, Mark and I do so many of these, and then when Megan's here, it's so great. But I my cadence is like, Mark, and I feel like I'm leaving Megan. Megan, I have a question for you. Mark, you can listen as well. How would you feel if on New Year's Eve we did a Hollywood fantasy draft? Where we picked a team of 10 actors, and then we devised a point system. So every movie they're in the next year, you get like 10 points. If they survive the movie, you get 20 points. If they die in it, you lose 5. If it gets an Oscar nomination, like if we had a fantasy Hollywood draft.
I'm in.
That's fun.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it. Right? I'm taking Jim Varney, number 1, Kurt Russell, the Sharks from Deep Blue Sea.
Hey, I'm gonna take 6 months to plan this. Calm yourself.
Michael Pena.
I'm gonna take computer de-aged Mark Hamill.
I feel like Gal Gadot is a good bet, but she's starting to do Netflix movies, so that's trouble.
Oh, who are we saying had a big year recently? Jamie Dornan.
Oh yeah, Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar on Wild Mountain Time.
And he had another one too.
You want to hear something, Adam?
Oh, yes.
2021 with Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar and Loki. It's having a wonderful year for jet skis. Just giving you a heads up on that.
I like what's happening here.
So going back to Cold Pursuit, I also really love the relationship between Gip and Kim Dash, because the 2 cops in town.
Yeah.
I love his reaction to Emmy Rossum calling up that guy in town and just like, well, if you get me this information now, then I read it, then later on, I'll, you can come over. And she's like, oh, there's an avalanche. I'll be calling right back. And the guy just looks at her with just...
He is so upset on behalf of the person he doesn't know. And earlier, he's so upset over her contacting him even. And she's like, I just figured out something you haven't figured out in 30 years. And you care more about this guy.
Also, this is kind of the Gone in 60 Seconds, The One situation where you have your hero and your villain, and then there's just some cops there
Yeah.
getting in the way.
Yeah. Delroy Lindo and Oliphant.
Completely not threatening, just part of the story.
Right.
And they
The
don't even
Delray-
come into play
Delray
at the
situation.
end, which I love.
No, they're somewhere else doing something else.
Emmy Rossum, though, gets the best line. We got a child in a snowplow heading down to Keogh.
Right?
Snowblower.
I love Gip's line, how long were you two lovers?
There's so many quick quips in this movie that you're not ready for. That just come out of nowhere. That, again, a second viewing is almost a must.
In a story with so many characters, and honestly, most of them die, but you really enjoy all the little bits with each group of characters. Like, there's the two White Bull henchmen who are supposed to kidnap Ryan from his school, and they're so invested in their whatever their BS is that they're doing that they don't notice that Liam Neeson swoops in and takes the kid.
Yeah, they're worried about antibiotics in case a child bites them.
Oh yeah, their props are tape, a taser, and antibiotics in case a kid bites you. And they're worried about this lady with this little foo-foo dog over on the side saying they have seen rats that are bigger, and they're just such idiots.
Yeah, they're really kind of playing that, goofus and gallant kind of situation. Now, Megan and Mark, if you want to play along, I have lots of the nicknames of the henchmen in this movie are incredible. We can say that going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say there's like, you can kind of like I have a list here, like Wingman and Speedo and Limbo and Sly and Shiv and Smoke. There's a lot of, the Eskimo. There's things that your mind can kind of figure out. Yes, the guy's named Shiv. You probably shivved a guy in the joint. Got that name, right? Sly probably went through like a Rambo phase and got that name. How does one get the gangster name? Your best guess. How does the guy get the gangster name Windex?
He's clean. He's efficient. He cures everything.
He's clean. He's okay. I guess so.
When you think about Windex, you think about this will do the job. Like there's no. I've never doubted Windex.
Windex gets the multi-purpose, gets the job done. Maybe he's a Renaissance man, many talents.
Windex means efficiency to me.
You can use Windex on anything.
Yeah, mouthwash, Banaka.
I just thought it was from throwing people through windows.
Oh yeah.
And then he cleans.
That would be the more cinematic approach.
And then he cleans the windows after he's thrown the person through.
That's right. You got a bloody guy here, but no blood on the window at all. All the shards of glass are clean.
How did Windex get caught? Well, he stayed 4 hours after he threw somebody through a window and cleaned the glass.
He's got one of those sprayer ones that you attach to a hose and you just hose it down.
So you're telling. Oh man, I tried to do that accent. So you're telling me. Oh, I've lost it.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? So when Megan referenced the pressure washer that you attached to a hose, all I immediately saw was Bruce Willis and the Jackal spraying off his van he painted to get it to change colors.
Oh yeah, and then blowing up Jack Black.
I
thought you were gonna say you were just thinking about a bread store.
No. Again, Mark, in Canada we call those bakeries. I don't know.
All right, so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk more about bread stores. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And Megan, when you go on hunting trips, what do you talk about with the people during these trips?
Hunting. On this week, Hot Topics with Cold Pursuit.
Yeah. Elway or Manning?
Who's the greatest QB?
Yeah.
Deion Sanders.
I love that part where he goes Elway and he shoots him anyway on the dresses.
He agrees with him.
Yeah.
That is such a good scene. I think from the moment that he walked in there, I was looking at you and I was like, there's going to be blood in this place. Look at all the white dresses.
Oh, right? Like that.
But you're so looking forward to it too. Because you're just like, yes.
So Sean Connery as James Bond would always he'd be there, then boom, a joke would happen, and boom, and you wouldn't see it coming. And Roger Moore, he'd walk in with I'm going to tell you a joke. This is what the joke's going to be about, and then here's the joke. And so you're like you say, it's coming, you're waiting for it, and it doesn't disappoint. And as soon as he walked into like the store